Hey everybody, Mr. Kevin here, and welcome back to another episode of Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. Today I'm going to talk to you about the double miter gauge workstation. So if you don't have a chop saw, or you don't have a radial arm saw, or an upcut saw, and you just have your table saw and a few other tools, I'm going to show you the easiest way to set yourself up a double miter gauge workstation. So if you're one of those people that just have a table saw and not a whole lot of money, which I used to be back in the day, you can't afford miter gauges like this. This is the Craig miter gauge. You put it in the slot here like this and cross cut away. It's pretty good. I use it sometimes, not that much. I use what I'm about to show you way more often than I use this guy because, yeah, I don't like the tape. Be honest with you, sorry. So I don't use that one very much. One I do love is this guy. This is the Incra miter slider, whatever the hell it is, the miter 5000. But if you don't have $450 laying around, you're not going to buy this either. So $450, I can't afford that either. Put that over here. The other thing you could do is build something like I built here. This is Betsy the Beast. Oh God. So Betsy the Beast probably weighs 25 pounds. You know, you gotta have time to mill it and build it. $30 in materials, plus you gotta buy the little Incra slides like this has right here. And that costs money too, so you know, if you don't have time for all that, or the money or the space, you probably won't do that either. Oh my God, that thing's heavy. If you're like me, you probably have a million of these little guys laying around. I have miter gauges everywhere. Every damn tool I bought, including my drill press, came with a miter gauge. So we got lots of miter gauges laying around. What do you do with all of them? Most of them just sit on the wall and collect dust, except for these two. This one came from my saw stop, my table saw. This one came from the disc sander, and it's fairly accurate and it's fairly strong and burly. That's why I use that one. These two we're gonna go back over there. Over there. All right, so we have both of our miter gauges in their miter gauge slots. The first thing we're going to talk about is safety. So the first thing you don't want to do is have this fence butt into your table saw blade. So make sure everything's at least an 1/8 inch away like I have here. This miter gauge over here, I put a cherry fence on it. I put 1-inch hash marks across here from 1 to 10, which I'll explain in a minute. This is a nice flat piece of wood. You want to make sure you have enough room to actually be able to put a clamp on here like this, and I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to explain how it works first. First, the drawbacks. All right, the first thing that you can't do is cut anything wider than 11 or 12 inches, because when you come back here, you'll slide off and it kind of gets all a little hairy. You can do it, and I'll do it. I'll show you how it works with a piece that's 12 inches wide, but it's better to cut things that are narrower than 11 inches, let's say. Drawback 2 is that this guy right here, you can remove this fence, and the closest you can get is 10 inches. It needs a little oil. That's as close as you can get when you crosscut, 10 inches. That's why we have these lines here, which I would use with a stop block and a couple of spring clamps. So let's say you want to cut something at 4 inches, and you just cut a piece at 4 inches. And if you really want to get super duper accurate, which most people do, you would take a square that you trust to be accurate, put on my spectacles so I can see what the hell I'm doing. So here's what I do. Just like that. See that? Whatever size you want, you just boom, put it in there. I have marks on the top that have the numbers and numbers here. So at least I know where I'm going to be. It's going to be close. And I can go all the way up to 10 inches, which is over here. And you do the same thing. You come all the way over here, you mark it at 10. Put that here like that, boom. And clamp it into place so it doesn't move and cut it. That way you can cut 10-inch pieces because you can't cut the finished cut over here. And it's just that simple. You have your first cut where you square up, and your second cut cuts it to size. Square it up, cut it to size. Okay, so let's give it a whirl, shall we? I'm gonna put this fence back on because I like it on there. Here's how you go about making sure that this is at 0. The first thing you do is put a little cut in it. Just like that. So now that we've cut the slot in our zero clearance fence, we know that's exactly zero. Before we get going here, we're gonna do this. And I've had people complain about this. You shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. I always make sure that everything is parallel and square to each other and square to my fence. And if you don't know how to tune up your saw, or you don't know the first thing about it, there's a little stupid video over here I made years ago on how to tune up your saw. And it's super simple, and I'm gonna explain it to you
as simply as possible for all of you that think you know better.
The miter slots and the table saw blade are parallel with each other. If they're not, you have serious problems. The fence should be parallel with all of this. And if it's not, you have serious problems, whether you're using miter gauge or not. So no matter where you're cutting it, if you can see, this isn't coming off the fence. It's not tapering, it's not doing anything, because if this tapers here, this fence tapers from this blade, your cuts are gonna be screwed up. So when you hear some bozo telling you,
everything should be aligned with the parallel of the miter slot no matter what for squareness.
Raspberries. Prove me wrong. All right, there we go. You're always having to change your table saw blade from your miter slots. You got a crappy saw and buy another one. Okay. Enough of the rant. All right, let's get to it. All right, so now that all that crap's out of the way, what we're gonna do is we're gonna square up a board and we're gonna cross cut it. All right. I got me a kindergarten pencil so I can get rid of the off fall on this side, so I don't have to reach my hand down there, and that's a good thing to do. Make sure your blade is 1 tooth above your work. This is a rip blade on here, and I'm cross cutting with a rip blade, but I'm too lazy to change it. So here we go. No dust collector. Here we go. Oh, sorry. All right. That was easy enough. Let's see if it's square, shall we? All right, you got, oh, but there's no square. Oh, there's sort of square. I guess I should have made sure it was, yeah. If Grandpa's square says it's square enough for me. I ain't building airplanes. All right, now cross cut it like that. Look at that, perfectly square up against the fence. There's not even a butt hair of anything anywhere. All right, now we're gonna cut it to size. Ready? Here we go. I didn't use my pencil that time because I was going away from the fence. If you cross cut things, when you're squaring them up and the pieces between the fence and the blade, always use your pencil to get rid of it. If it's on the outside, I like to just push it away. I'm not worried about it being bounced back off the fence into the blade. Mr. Kevin's theory of nothing. Do what makes you feel comfortable. All right, so let's do it again. Let's do it a little faster this time. This is 9 inches wide. And we'll cut this one at 14 or something. So here we go. I'm not even gonna stop this time. I'm just gonna go. There it is, that side square. That side square. 14 inches, it better be 14 inches because if it ain't, my table saw is messed up. 14 inches right on the money. And that's how that works. Well, let's try to cut something that's 12 inches because this is a hunk of MDF, it's gonna stink. All right, so this is a little big. It kind of hits the end here, and I'll do the same over here, which is kind of dangerous, so I got to pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm going to square this guy up. I'm going to cut it 17 inches, and this will be the last one. No magic button. Good golly. All right, here we go. Good golly. Square it up. Cut its size. That's you, just square on it. Oh yes, it's wonderful. All right, oh, I gotta show you something here. Oh, and get on there. It's very thin, it's only a ½ inch. Square. So the only drawback with this is when you take this fence off here, the closest you can get on this side is, well, this one's 10 1/8. If you need to cut something that's 5 inches, here's what you do. Get this guy out of the way completely. All right, we're gonna take this guy and we're gonna square it up. Now this takes a little while longer, but it's what you have to do. So square this up. Oh, I forgot about that. Nice and square. So what you would do, I guess, if you had to cut a bunch of them, you would remove this fence here. Ugh. You know, if you had a bunch of 5-inch pieces you had to cut. And what you would do is take your square and you set it to 5 inches. Like that. And clamp that puppy into place. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, so now you got to clear the deck because you have a squared up piece that's long. Having something dangle out here is not a good idea if you're cutting something, because what's going to happen is you're going to cut it and it's going to come back around and kick you, which won't be good. You don't want to do that. And this is what we're going to do. All right, we're going to do it like this. All right, so we're going to turn this on. I'm going to cut like this. See how that is? So letting a piece hang out without having it backed up is super dangerous, and I'll show you what happens. See that? So always have your piece backed up. Here we do it again. So if you ever got a long board that says 5 or 6 feet long, don't let it hang off the end. You know, oh, I'm going to cut a piece of wood. I'm going to cut this 5 inches without anything backing it up. If you go to cut something like this, this piece here is going to come back and take you out. Don't let it do that. Always have it backed up. You don't need the fence on there to back it up. It's better to have the fence on there. But when you cut something, even if it's this wide, let's do this. Have it backed up. Don't be a dummy. Always have something backed up. Don't ever do like I showed you, cutting it and trying to hold it in place, because it'll kick back. And I was kind of making it kick back a little bit, but don't do that. It's not good. All right, well, there you go. The cheapest, fastest way to cross-cut on your table saw. The double miter gauge workstation. All right, well, thanks for watching. You have an awesome day. Go outside and play, hug somebody you love, and I'll see you next time right here on Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. That's me, and we'll see you soon. All right, there you go, everybody. Hopefully that helps somebody. Be very careful, be very safe. It's a table saw after all, and it will cut your fingers off. Even if it is a saw stop, you don't want kickbacks. You don't want all the nasty things that come with doing stupid things on a table saw. Yeah. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, I got some firewood now. Now what am I going to do? I don't even have a wood stove. Sheesh.
Subscribe now.
Talk about the double miter gauge workstation. God, I did it again. So this is for people who don't, if you don't have 150 bucks, then what do you do? Well, hold on. All right, miter slide, miter gauge slider, whatever. Okay, in the front of the table saw and pull it through it. All right, see, did it again. So, oh, I know, I'm lifting up back here. That's 5 inches right on the money.